Hi, my name's Starsky and welcome to From the Studio on Club and TV. In this episode, we're going to take a look at a really unique little semi-modular from Pittsburgh Modular. It's the Taiga.
Someday in the future, we will all live as one. There will be no them, there will be no us. There will be no left and there will be no right. There will be no east and there will be no west. All that is bad will be defeated. There will only be a sublime combination of all that is good. All that we've imagined that has brought light to the world. East Coast, West Coast, we'll all wake up in Kansas.
So what on earth am I talking about there with the synthtopian synth futures? Well, we've got the East Beast and we've got the West Pest from Create Audio. I demoed these a few months ago. The West Pest is based on Buchla style synthesis from the west coast of the States in the 60s, and the East Beast is based on what we normally consider to be subtractive synthesis that we use on most of our synths, I suppose. It's the Moog style synthesis, and the Pittsburgh Modular, well, Pittsburgh Modular made the innards for these. They work with Create Audio and now they've created the Taiga. And on the Taiga we've got a combination of both. It's like these two boxes have been squished together and mangled up with a few extra bits thrown in. So it makes it like a really unique synth. I can't think of anything else that does that actually. So let's take a look at what we've got here. Well, it's a semi-modular synth. You can see we've got all these patch points along the bottom, but you don't have to have anything patched in to use it. It's all normalized underneath the front panel, so you can ignore these if you want, like we have here. Anyway, we've got 3 oscillators, and these are wave folding oscillators, which I'll get into in a bit. It just means they make loads more sounds than your standard analog oscillators. Then we've got a mixer here for oscillator 1, 2, 3, and some noise. We've also got a preamp, so we've got built-in distortion. Then we've got a filter, and this can be bandpass, high pass, low pass, or a combination of them, and it's Pittsburgh Modular's own filter design. It's famous, it's lovely, and I'll go through that in a minute as well. Then we've got 2 ADSR envelopes, just standard ADSR envelopes. Then we've got this weird thing here, and this is the dynamics processor. And the dynamics processor is very much the Buchla style thing. It's essentially a filter and an envelope all in the one. And then finally on the right hand side here, we've got a nice little analog delay unit. On the far left here, we've got this little control panel, and this got all sorts of hidden features in it, like it's got an arpeggiator. It's got a hold function. We can transpose those things. We can do things like we can change the length of those notes. And it's quite cool how the interface works. Actually, there's an awful lot in here, and it doesn't look like there's any feedback, but actually these LEDs on the 3 oscillators give you loads of information. So this is the MIDI channel, going from 1 through to 16. That's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, all of them, and then back to 1. If we do things like, we can modulate stuff with MIDI. So if I patch this MIDI CC out into the filter frequency in, I'm modulating it via MIDI, and I can set that up to use any MIDI CC. So if you've got a controller, you can control it with your MIDI. If I hold this button, the edit button, and wiggle the knob now, which means you can use MIDI to modulate anything, which means you can sync it up with your tracks. In this next clip, I've used the LFO from Logic that's synced to the beat to send the MIDI CC out, which is doing effectively the same as this. So there's loads of connectivity options with this. If you look down here, we've got the 60 patch points. Some of them are labeled green and some are white. If the green, it's an input. If the white, it's an output. And some of them have even got the normalized routing in there as well. So you can see, once you start playing around with it, you can see where the pitch would normally go. For example, the preamp normally goes into the mix normally goes into the filter normally goes into the dynamics. So you don't get lost when you've got a load of patch cables in. It does come with 10 patch cables, by the way, some long ones and some short ones. So let's take a look at the oscillators. We've got 3 identical oscillators here, and we've got pitch, got a bit of FM. That's now at the minute pre-patched into the LFO. And on this, we've got 8 different options for the wave shapes. These are accessed using this button here. We've got a sine, we've got a triangle, we've got a sawtooth, and we've got a square. So it's a square and a sine. That's a sine and a triangle. You get the idea. But this big yellow knob here introduces the wave shaping. And these are the sort of sounds that you just can't get from a standard analog synth. Go an octave lower. And of course, all that can be modulated with whatever you like. We've got paraphonic mode on this as well, so we can play 2 notes independently. We go into the arpeggiator, paraphonic mode. Now we'll take this velocity out and we'll put it into the pitch in of oscillator 2. Let's play a bit more of a standard sound, shall we? And increase oscillator 2. And you can even make it sound better than that if you spend more than 2 minutes setting it up. Let's move over then to this next section, which is the preamp and the filter. It's Pittsburgh's own filter design, and it's a beautiful filter, this. I'll just put it into low pass mode for now. So the resonance all the way up. We don't lose any bass like you do with lots of things. It's like one big sweet spot, isn't it? What you don't get is self-oscillation, where the filter can actually just play itself, but we do have the preamp, so we can still get nasty, dirty things out of it. Channel 1 comes out here, channel 1 and 2. Let's put them into the preamp in, and the preamp out goes back into the mixer, so we don't have to do anything else. So let's just turn everything down a bit. So nice, big and fat, but not screaming acid. Of course, we can use some of the other wave shapes. So it can get nice and rough and dirty. But the other modes we've got on this are band pass and high pass. And as with the oscillators, we can go between them. So with the 3, as we saw earlier, it'll randomly pick one, but we've got a mixture of low pass and band pass. Just the band pass. And a mixture of band pass and high pass. And that just makes it a really flexible, lovely little sound design machine. Next up, we've got the 2 ADSR generators. Nothing to show you there, the same thing that you get on pretty much every synth. But the next bit over here, this dynamics processor, is really interesting. And And as I said earlier, you can think of this as a filter and an envelope in one, a really simple envelope with just a tack and release. And it's Pittsburgh Modular's own design. They've taken what Buchla did back in the 1960s and just improved on it, or just made it a little bit more flexible. We've got this little resonance knob here, and we can change the time. On the old synths back in the 60s, you couldn't change the time. It was sort of the character of the synth, really. So we haven't got a filter on. Filter's completely open. And the big yellow knob is a bit like a filter where it just lets things through. It's a low pass gate, it just lets anything through below the filter level, so. So you can just get drones, but if you play a little line, so you could have some of the oscillators going straight to that, and you can have other oscillators going via the filter, so you can get almost like two separate tones. Then you've got the paraphonic mode as well, so you can have two separate tones doing different things, playing different lines. Really, really quite cool. You've got to think about how you set it all up when you end up with a load of cables in front of you. But there's hours of fun in here. So there we have it, the Taiga from Pittsburgh Modular. It's not cheap, it's about £800, but it's got so much in here. And if you are into your modular, you're getting an awful lot of units for your money. And if you've not bought any modular yet, you get a whole system for just that price, which actually, when you look at how much these bits cost, it's pretty good value. Well, it's very good value for money. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. And if you did, don't forget you can catch it whenever you like on our Clubbing TV official YouTube channel on the From the Studio playlist. And if you've got any questions, drop me in the comments and I'll see what I can do to answer them. And if you want to find out a little bit more, do check out my Starsky Carr YouTube channel as well, where I've got a much deeper dive into this. So I'll see you in the next episode of From the Studio.